Hello, 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 hello. Hi again. I am Tay, the self-concept enthusiast, and welcome to the Self-Concept Hub. I'm really excited because I love doing this, y'all. This video ain't gonna be super long. Let's hope, okay? I love doing these like videos. I think I'm getting more and more comfortable. Um, but I'm really excited to talk about like self-concept and um yeah, just I love doing this. The more I do it, the more I'm like I get really excited on days that I have to film. And so yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited about this episode because this week we're going to get into all of the things that I have seen manifest in my life in 2023. And this is the perfect time to talk about it because New Year's Eve is, by the time this premieres, New Year's Eve will be today, and the new year will be Monday. So this is airing on Sunday, and New Year's Day is Monday. And I'm super excited. For most people, everybody, right, is getting ready for the new year, but a part of getting ready for the new year also means reflecting on the year that you had before. And so I have been getting ready for the new year, but I've also been looking back at 2023, um, just very grateful for the type of year that I had. Everything I can honestly say that everything that I wanted in 2023, I got it. Everything, 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 sis, everything, everything. Okay. All of it. I got everything I wanted this year. Okay. And it wasn't even on Christmas, honey. I didn't get a Christmas gift in sight, but I got everything that I wanted in 2023. And it wasn't even like I didn't try. Like I don't know. I don't know how everything I wanted to happen happened this year. But I'm grateful. Like God is so faithful to me. I hope everybody can hear me. I got the windows open. I got the fan on. I be getting kind of hot. And then I got the ring light. Doing this ain't easy, okay? It costs, all right? It's a little heated. But yes, I'm really excited about getting into that. And I also want to get into a little bit about like prepping for the new year. If you haven't like really dived into that already, I think I want to touch a little bit on, I guess, how I prepare for 2024. I don't know. We'll see. All right. But yeah, I see a lot of people talking about 2023 and how the year almost took them out and things like that. It did not happen for me like that. And I'm so glad that I cannot relate. Um, but that I I have to be honest. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because I think that is going to be inspiring. Um, the truth is, when this year started, when 2023 started, I was honestly feeling stuck. I lived somewhere I hated. I hated where I was living. Um, I felt like I was stuck. I felt lost. Um, I had probably dealt with suicide more. Um, in the time that I was living in like the Bronx. What year is this? 2023. I came back in April. So about last year when I moved to the Bronx, I had just got kind of confronted with suicide more in that time frame of me living in New York than I had been in a very, very long time in my life. Um, it was just I just remember like having moments of depression, needing to call people to like pray for me because I was just in a turmoil inside. And it wasn't until like I decided that it's interesting because I would have moments where I would something would be in me telling me that I would be more free if I just did not, if I wasn't alive. And this voice is telling me, like, you know what, you would probably have more peace if you were like dead. But at the same time, there was a part of me saying, but I want to live. And it's interesting how that happens simultaneously inside of you. and you're one person, but you have like these two different like voices, like going on all in here at the same time. It was a lot. And it got to a point where I was like, no, I want to live. And I really need to get down to the bottom of where a lot of this stuff is coming from. And it was coming from here. It wasn't until I started to intentionally change here that I started changing here. And my whole world like started to change. And so, yeah. So in 2023, there were a few things that I wanted, not a whole lot, it wasn't a whole list, but I wanted to, in 2023, I wanted a new job position. I wanted to move into my own place, and I wanted to be in a relationship. I wanted to have love in my life. And so all of that happened. So the first thing was my job position. So this is 2023. 2022, I moved to New York. Um, and even that manifested because I remember where I lived, I just decided one day, like, I don't want to live here no more. I have outgrown the space. I want to move. But I didn't have the money and I did not know where I was going. But I got up every day and I would say, I'm moving. I'm moving from this place to a new place by the summer. I literally moved from where I was living to a whole new place in the summer months of 2022. That's a whole nother video for a whole nother day. If you want to see that video, please comment. Okay, and let me know. I'll tell you the story. All right. But it's crazy how that happened. Anyway, the job that I had at that time transferred easily to New York City. And so I ended up doing what I was doing in Chicago in New York. Now, the job that I had in New York, in Chicago, came with like travel, but because they had such a demand in Chicago, I wasn't able to really travel for work. But I wanted to travel for work with my job. When I ended up moving to New York, and as soon as my feet touched New York ground, I was traveling for work with the same job position that I had in Chicago. So the job was great. I was traveling, I was getting paid more. I'm talking about money busting out the seams. I was working. But when I wasn't traveling, I was working local in New York City. And I had my car because I drove my car from Chicago to New York City. So I had my car. But if you've ever been to New York, driving in New York is almost impossible. And parking. Now y'all know that New Yorkers live on top of each other, right? They're like they all cousins or something. Parking, if they could park on top of each other's cars, they would, honey. It would be cars parked up to the sky in New York City if they were able to park on top of each other. They would do it. Okay. Um, and so parking and driving in New York is crazy. It is insane. And so there was no way, even though I had a car, that I was going to be driving in throughout New York City. I just wasn't going to do it. So because of that, I was taking the subway and I was taking the bus when I had to work in New York City. Now, when I was out of town, of course, my job would give me a car. They would provide everything. So I didn't need to worry about like parking and things like that. But in New York City, it was impossible. So I was on the bus, I was on the subway. But with my job, I also had to carry like a scanner. I had equipment, right? So I moved to New York City in like the summer. And so I was traveling around like the closer it came for like winter time, I was like, yeah, I can't be on the subway in no crazy New York snow. I'm 5'4". I will be drowning in snow with the scanner and all of this equipment. I don't want to do it. So I want another position. Said I want to work from home. I want the equipment to come with the position. I want more hours. I want the internet to not require hardwired internet. So I wanted like a wireless, like internet type of situation. So I went to God and I was like, God, winter's coming and I'm not trying to be doing this in the snow. I want to work from home. And I want equipment, I want wireless internet, I want everything to all come together. And that was it. I told God about that once. After that, every time I would spend time in prayer, I would just say, thank you. God, thank you for my job. Thank you that I work remote. I was telling God, thank you for my job while I was going to work, while I was still traveling for work, and while I was still looking for another position. It turns out shortly after that, I ended up getting a remote position right before, I want to say before Thanksgiving or around the time of thanks. I want to say before Thanksgiving came that same year, I was training for my new job position. And by the time 2023 came, I was already training for the new job. Yeah, I was training for the new job and I was getting paid to train and wasn't doing nothing. I still almost do nothing at work. And I get paid. I literally get paid to show up. So God is good. I do work, but I get paid to show up. And it's been like it's been great. So that happened. Um, yeah, that happened. And another, so that was that. Um, the second thing was an apartment. Now, I had been wanting to live on my own since I was like 17. Um, but in New York, um, while I did live on my own, I didn't have my own place. I lived in a room that was almost the size of a pantry. I really feel like he turned that room into a pantry and just threw a bed frame in there and was charging people rent. But that's New York. So okay. So I when it came to my place, I didn't really affirm for like an apartment. Backstory, I spent years crying out to God for a place of my own. I just wanted to live by myself. And I spent a lot of time when I would travel from New York City upstate to New York. I would spend a lot of time driving. And I would just be talking to God like, God, I don't understand why at my age it's so hard to get a place. Like I'm in my 30s. I've never lived on my own. I don't get it. Like all I want is something as simple as peace. I want like my own shower. I want a kitchen to cook in. I just want to live somewhere where it's just me. I'm not asking for a lot. I'm a good steward of other people's, stuff. Like I just want my own. When the new year came, I wrote down what I wanted and I was just like, I want like a 1 bedroom or a studio that I can afford to live in. Something nice, something clean. I just want to live on my own. I didn't really affirm for that. Um, what I would do was when I got tired of being affected by the circumstances of where I lived at, I decided to see it differently. And so I was just like, you know what? God, thank you for this place. Thank you that I have somewhere to lay my head. Because when I got to New York, I lived in my car. I didn't know where I was gonna stay. Um, I ended up sleeping in my car. I ended up sleeping at a shelter. Yeah, it was interesting. Um, but something opened up to where I ended up having someone actually lay my head. So I just became grateful for that. But I also wanted something else. Um, and so what I would do was I started to imagine that the room I was renting out was a luxury apartment. I would every time I would go into the doors of that god awful place, I would imagine that I was walking into my luxury apartment. I would imagine the appliances. I would imagine the bedroom. I would imagine my bedroom. When I was laying in the bed, when I was laying in the bed that I had, I would imagine myself being in my master bedroom at this luxury apartment. And the only thing I did was I told my friend Abby, and I think I might have told my mother that when my birthday was coming, and I ended up telling them like, the only thing I want for my birthday is an apartment. That's all I want. I just wanted to be in my own place when my birthday came. And that was it. I literally came home. Um, Now it was hard. I was looking for a place in New York City, but with what I was making and with paying rent every week at the room I was renting, it was just kind of conflicting. So I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to like pay him rent, save money for a place. I'm gonna be here forever, and I'm not trying to be here forever. So I ended up coming home in April. By June, I was moving into my apartment. Now it wasn't in New York, which I was okay with. Because at this point, I just wanted peace. If having peace meant having my own apartment in, I don't know, Texas, Washington, D.C., I don't know, I would have moved. I wasn't going to move anywhere. I just wanted my own space. I just wanted to be at peace. I wanted to be able to take a shower without worrying about getting, I don't know, whatever people get, mold. I don't know. I just wanted to live in a different circumstance. I wanted peace in my life. And I came home and I got an apartment just like that. Beautiful. An apartment that was actually prophesied to me when I was in like my early 20s. I remember getting that prophetic word thinking, how is this gonna happen? But holding on to the word. And then when I moved into my place, I realized, oh my God, that lady said that I was going to be living on the third floor and outside of my windows were going to be trees. This is literally the apartment. I ended up being right where I was supposed to be. So that happened this year. The third thing that happened, I this year I decided that I wanted to go from being single to being in a relationship. And so what I did was I decided I wanted to go from being single to being in a relationship. And so every day I would get up and I would say, I'm going from being single to being in a relationship. And then now, not, I want to say not so much this year, I don't think. Okay, so 2023, there was some guys, how? No, because he popped back up around, I'm gonna say January sometime, February, March. He was gone about February, March. We started dating in April. So around the beginning of the year, I had decided that I wanted to go from being single to being in a relationship. This was really like 2022 when I decided that. The last time I was in Chicago was in November, and I brought myself a ring because I was tired of like showing interest to guys who were like interested in other girls. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna buy myself a ring and I'm gonna make this ring a commitment to myself. And so that's what I did. And I was like, whoever I'm supposed to be with, when he sees this, it won't stop him from pursuing me. So keep that in mind. So I would just say like I'm going from being single to being in a relationship. And I would wear my ring proudly because I would go through life and imagine myself being in this relationship. And so one day I was sitting in my room and I was thinking like, I thought about this guy that I went to college with. And I'm thinking like, I wonder what's going on with him. Like I always felt like a relationship between me and him would be so ideal. And I thought that for years, like from the moment that I met him, we didn't even meet, like we were not introduced to each other or anything. Um, he literally walked in class and we ended up looking at each other and we both had the same reaction, like, who is that? But ever since that moment, I always felt like a relationship with him would be like the most ideal relationship I've ever been in. And so I had the same thought every time I would think about him throughout my life. I met him in 2017. Y'all, I'm 33. At the time, I was 32. And so I'm sitting in New York and I'm thinking like, man, I wonder what's going on with him. I always thought that a relationship between me and him would be so ideal. Like we would have the most beautiful love children. Like we would be like the perfect family. We would be like the epitome of like Black love. So I'm thinking this and I'm just thinking about how beautiful of a man he is. Like he was just always like it for me. And so that was it. Later on, like shortly after, he ended up reaching out to me on Instagram. And he ended up asking me out, and I ended up saying yes. I came back home in April and we ended up going out. There was a chunk of time where he disappeared and we ended up hashing it out about him disappearing. But we had like a really great conversation. And we talked about everything. And I agreed to date him. And when I came home in April, we started dating. And he literally is my favorite person. Um, he is me, literally my reflection. And I enjoy everything. about it was definitely it it was definitely ideal. And all of the years that I've known him, I had no proof of why I thought that a relationship between us would be so ideal, but ideal it is. Definitely ideal. And I don't know, he's my favorite person, y'all. I just can't. You see, I ain't stop smiling since. And so yeah, that happened this year. A bonus. And so with that, with him, with the dating thing, I didn't necessarily like affirm um that like for anything specific. I would just go to sleep and I would imagine me like in bed with the man that wanted to be in a relationship with. And I would imagine us like just cuddling like at night. So I would go to bed at night and just imagine like his arms wrapped around me and we would just be sleeping. And I would wake up and go about my day. And then I would go to bed at night and just imagine me sleeping, but imagine him like cuddling me while we're sleeping at night. And it ended up happening that way. Like everything I imagined ended up happening. Like even like very small, like crazy details that you wouldn't even think mattered. Like it all ended up like happening. Crazy. Like I did nothing. All I did was show up, go on dates, everything like transpired. So that was another thing that happened. It was really it was fun. Um and the last thing that happened was I ended up on the Andy Cohen show. I wanted to do TV this year, but I just did not know like how I was gonna do it. I thought that I was gonna be in New York. I thought that I was gonna have like all of these like major opportunities in New York for like fashion and all of this stuff. But I was in Chicago on TV in New York City, and it happened. Um, the opportunity came to me. I followed through. I thought that I missed it because I ended up getting sick on the day of filming. And so it was about a couple of months um, between that initial taping and like the second one. So I thought I missed my opportunity. But I reached out to the producers and about another opportunity to be on the show. And it opened up and I ended up on the Andy Cohen show. All of that happened in 2023. And I really had like a great year. I'm not saying that I didn't shed some tears. Um, I'm not saying that I did not know, I didn't worry about how things would happen. Um, I am saying that everything worked out in like the best way possible. Like I can literally look over this year and say that I made it and I didn't just survive. I had a really great year, really, really good year. And it all started with like with the with a decision to be intentional about the thoughts that I think and about the words that come out of my mouth. And then recently learning about the law of assumption and learning about self-concept has really helped me like grab the reins on, you know, excuse me, my mind, my mouth. It just kind of really steered me into focusing on what I want out of life and not on what I don't want from myself, from other people, from my circumstances. Now I'm not so quick to react to what goes on around me. Now I'm more focused on the things that I want to see happening in my life, and they are happening. As far as preparing for 2024, I would really encourage you to, number one, sit down with yourself and think about the story of your life. Like, what has that story been? And this is just tying back into the whole point of this channel, which is about self-concept, right? Um, and pursuing like healthy self-concept. Sit down with yourself as we approach 2024 and just think about like what the story of your life has been. What is that story? Oh, I'm the middle child, so I've always went through life feeling invisible. Nobody pays attention to me. Um, People treat me like I don't matter. Um, I have to work hard for money. I work 40 hours a week and I still don't have enough. Um, I'm I was always the fat girl, or girls don't really, the girls that I like don't really like me. I like girls that are out of my league, and not, they end up ghosting me. Like whatever the story of your life is, I want you to sit down with yourself and think about what that story is. Then I want you to think about some things that you really want to experience in life. And don't lie to yourself. Don't suppress your desires. Really think about what you want to experience in the year 2024. No right or wrong answers, no politicking, like whatever it is that you really want to see happen in your year 2024, whatever it is you want to experience in love, what you want to experience when it comes to money, what you want to experience when it comes to your family, your friends, what you want to experience from strangers, how you want to see yourself. If you're a person who deals with depression, and in 2024, you just want to be a happier person, I want you to think about like what you want to experience in this next year. And I want you to write out a new story about yourself, about your life, about your experience, about your finances, about relationships, about men, about every area that you want to see change in. And I want you to write a story that is completely opposite to what the story has been. Write a new story for yourself. Change the narrative in 2024. Then once you do that, I want you to completely do away with the old story. That old story that you wrote out, fold it, rip it up, throw it in the garbage because that's old. Anything that happened 2023 and prior is the old story. And so from 2024 on, you're just going to focus on this new story that you made. And you're going to impress your subconscious mind with this new story. And you're going to do that by, if you wrote the new story down, you can read the story every day, every morning when you wake up. You can read the new story every night before you go to bed. You can make affirmations out of the new story. You can record the new story and you can play it back in your ears while you're sleeping at night. You can make a vision board that implies that everything within this new story you're actually living out. But whatever technique you use, you just want to put that new story in your mind in place of the old story. You want your subconscious mind to be impressed with this new story so that it becomes facts. It becomes your new reality in your mind so that it can become your new reality in your life. So you want to repeat the new story over and over again. And you want to focus on what it is that you want out of 2024 versus what you don't want. So we're not going to focus on, you not making enough in 2023. In 2024, you make more than enough money. Money comes to you, it flows to you like water. Okay. You can get any man, any woman that you want in 2024 because you are the prize. You're worthy of love. You are worthy to be pursued. You're worthy to be loved. You're worthy to be trusted. Um, you're always chosen. You are valuable. You're an asset. You can definitely have the job that you want to have. You don't need the qualifications that you think you need. They're just going to hire you because you always get hired. You stand out in the crowd, you have something to offer. This year, change the story and tell yourself that new story no matter what you see in your circumstances in 2024. Choose to believe in the things that you want and the things that you want to see. Learn to become aware of the thoughts that you think because every thought that comes up in your mind is not from you. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I had thoughts in my head telling me that I would be better off dead to escape things like never having enough money, not having a place, life being hard. Like those are things that were part of my old story that my life is just always hard. I'm just gonna struggle. Men come in my life and they don't stay. I'm gonna end up like my mama. Like just all of these things were part of the old story. Um, and there was a voice in my head telling me that I would have more peace if I just escaped that, and my only escape was death. That's not me. There was another voice in me saying, no, but I want to live. That voice that wants to live is me. I don't want to die. I'm still young. I have a whole lot of life to live. There are a lot of things I want to do. Like I want to be a wife. I want to have a baby. I'm supposed to be famous. Like there's so many things that I want to do and I cannot do that dead. So no, I want to live. Every thought that comes up in your head is not you. It's not your voice. It's not your thoughts, right? But if you become aware of your thoughts, you can redirect your thoughts in a direction that aligns with the things that you want to see come to pass in your life. I'm telling you, I just told you my story. Like, and I have way more stories than that. This is just 2023, and I'm really looking forward to 2024 because I have a clear view of more things that I know I already have. And 2024 ain't even here yet. Like, I'm already in 2025. Like, okay, this is what I want to do in 2025, you know, and God has been with me the whole way. For those people who don't think that God and manifestation coexist, your whole world, believe it or not, is manifested. You are a manifestation. So it is possible. These are just some practical things that you can do to prepare for your 2024. But no matter what happens, get a hold of your mind right now. Get a hold of your thoughts right now. If you wake up tomorrow and let's say you feel a little nauseous or whatever, your period's coming for the girls. You know what? For the girls, your cycle coming tomorrow, and you wake up and you have, you feeling a little nauseous. You can be aware that you feel kind of queasy, right? But you don't have to say, "Oh my God, my period coming. Oh, I just feel so sick," right? Because the more you say, "Oh, I just feel so sick," you're gonna feel more sick, right? You can be aware that you feel kind of queasy and be like, you know what? I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna drink some water. I'm gonna sit down, sit in front of the fan or whatever. But I feel great, right? I'm so energetic. Like this is gonna be the easiest cycle I've ever had in a long time, right? That's different than letting your current circumstance control you and just govern your mood, govern your attitude. You can have your period and get a whole attitude, or you can be like, you know what? I feel great. Like today's gonna be a great day. It depends on you. We oftentimes just let our thoughts and our feelings, our emotions, the world around us dictate how we feel. And then we start to say everything that we feel. And we're just kind of caught in this cycle of just a bunch of circumstances that we don't want because we're not changing our words. And we're not really becoming aware of like the thoughts that we think and the words that we say. And it's all just kind of like giving you more of what you don't want. 2024, focus on what you do want and say what you want to see until you see what it is that you said. Be intentional. All right. Focus on what you want. Anything, any narrative, any conversation, any company that is not in alignment with what you want and what you're focusing on this year, cut it out. Cut out all the BS. If you want to be in a happy, healthy, loving relationship, stop talking with your friends about how dirty women are, about how flaky and trifling these men are. Stop going on social media and tuning into all of the terrible relationship advice that is not in alignment with you being the person who is in a happy, healthy, loving relationship. Cut it out. Cut it out. Just stop. Anything that is not conducive with you already having money in the bank, cut it out. Learn how to be aware of your circumstances, but choose to identify with what it is that you actually want. And I promise you, if you can get a hold of these simple things, you will start to see your 3D world, your reality change for you in no time. Again, this is proof from a person who just gave you a few, not all, just a few things that have occurred in my life by just changing my mind. All right. So I hope that this was helpful. Let me see how long I've been on here. I can't see yet, but yeah. I hope that this was helpful. The next time you see me, it will be 2024, and I'm so excited. I'm really, really excited. But I think that's all. The next video, I'll be talking about God and manifestation. So I'm really excited about that. Again, thank you for tuning into the Subconcept Hub. I have been your host, Tay, the Subconcept Enthusiast. If you have any questions, please reach out to me in the comment section below, or you can find me on TikTok at Tay, the Subconcept Enthusiast, or you can find me on Instagram at Tay, Subconcept Enthusiast. I do believe that's my Instagram handle. But anyway, Happy New Year, right?